Hi, my name is Janica Lorenzo Carrero, and I'm going to talk about the effects of stress on chicken meat quality. The objective of this video is to define what is the quality of the meat and what points determine it. Recognize what is stress and how it affects the quality of the meat. At last, know what can cause stress to the animal. As an introduction, the quality of the meat is important in the poultry sector. People take into consideration the color, tenderness, and taste when choosing a meat. The quality of the meat can be determined by, at first, the ability to retain water, what refers to the ability to not lose size when the meat is cooked. Second, the pH. The pH of the meat will impart color. As seen in the image, when the pH is greater than 6.2, the meat will turn darker, which is somewhat negative. As for glycogen, this is extremely important in the quality of the meat. If there are optimal levels of glycogen, it will produce tender meat and good taste, quality, and color. In addition, the pH is inversely related to the amount of glycogen. In other words, the more glycogen in the blood, the lower pH. But if the animal is stressed before and during slaughter, all glycogen is consumed, which can have very serious adverse effects on the meat grade. Finally, the stress. This in all experiments that we'll be discussing next. Stress is measured in corticosterone concentrations. Temperature. Temperature intervenes on the quality of the meat. Also depends on the race of the poultry. There are races that can withstand more heat than others. High temperature causes that the animal consume less food, less weight gain, what can cause the death. Sangerol experiment sought to understand how the quality of the meat was related to the temperature. For this, several samples were placed in different treatments: standard, constant high temperature, and cyclic high temperature. On this table, the results of the previous experiment are presented. L is lightness, A is redness, and B is yellowness. It also presents the result of the cook loss. It was observed that only on standard temperature were better results. Also, the cook loss was less, indicating that the meat is of better quality. In addition, in another experiment, the drip loss was less at 7 degrees compared to the other treatments. However, the meat was more dark, what could respond to the presence of bacteria. Therefore, we can conclude at a high temperature the animal may suffer heat stress and the meat will not have good characteristics. Also, if the temperature is too low, bacteria may be present, which is also negative. Regarding transportation, it is said that there is a relationship between corticosterone concentrations and recovery time. In other words, the animal will have high corticosterone concentrations at the transport time. However, if the animal is subject to arrest After being transported, these concentrations of corticosterone will decrease. You et al. Carry out an experiment to measure the relationship between these variables. There were 5 different treatments. The first was the control with no stress. The second was 45 minutes of transportation and 45 minutes of recovery. The third was 45 minutes of transportation and 3 hours of recovery. The fourth was 3 hours of transportation and 45 minutes of recovery. And the fifth was 3 hours of transportation and 3 hours of recovery. As a result, high levels of corticosterone were obtained in all treatments. Comparing the treatments, there is no difference between them. In addition, we can observe that the drip loss has a difference of 0.28 in those who had long rest. However, according to the researchers, these values are not significant. Finally, the electrical stunning method. The electrical stunning method is a method used to sacrifice the chicken and prepare them for packaging. Voltage are used to make the animal unconscious and then sacrifice them. It is one of the most used in the poultry sector. This is because it is less expensive and less space is needed. The electrical stunning method is a human method before sacrifice. In this method, the animal is placed in a machine. The equipment contains electrodes. There is a photo of the electrodes. These electrodes are adjustable to be able to accommodate in different head sizes. First, the animal's head is wet to improve the electrical contact. Then the equipment is connected to the head of the animal. Finally, it is turned on and the flow of electricity between the electrodes causes immediate unconsciousness. After the unconsciousness, the animal is sacrificed by cutting the blood vessels in the neck. There is a relationship between voltage and frequency. If the voltage is greater, the unconsciousness will be deeper. However, there may be a greater percentage of damage or death. In addition, at a higher frequency, the unconsciousness will be deeper, but it will last less. Therefore, it is expected that at a higher voltage or at a higher frequency, the results will be better. This experiment was carried out with the purpose of determining if the voltage and frequency were related to the quality of the chicken meat. They used 160 chickens and subjected them to the different treatments. The control was no stunning. The low stunning was 15 volts per 10 seconds and 750 hertz. The medium stunning was 50 volts per 10 seconds and 50 hertz. And the high stunning was 100 volts per 5 seconds and 50 hertz. The hertz refers to the frequency. As the table shows, as a result of this experiment, it is obtained that there is a higher concentration of corticosterone plasma in the medium staining in comparison with the high staining and low staining. In addition, if we observe the values of the no staining, greater stress is observed in these animals in comparison with the low staining and high staining. Therefore, the results of these experiments show that the low current and frequency were more stressful. The results shown in this table are those of the drip loss. These results show that the low staining and high staining had less drip loss than the other treatments. However, the voltage cannot be extremely high because it can cause harm to the animal or even the death. In conclusion, as discussed earlier, stress is related to the quality of the meat. Through the articles, it was concluded that the temperature can have a negative effect on the quality of the meat. However, if the chicken is in an environment where the temperature is not high, the quality may be better. In addition, the stress caused by transport can affect the quality of it. For this, it was not considered that the recovery time to which animals were subject had a positive effect on the characteristics of the meat. On the other hand, it could be concluded that the effect of electrical stunning was positive, as long as the voltage or frequency was high, enough to leave the animal in a deep unconsciousness, but without causing harm to it. If these variables are not handled correctly, it can cause stress to the animal, which can result in poor quality meat. Conclusion: according to the results of all experiments discussed, it can be concluded that the temperature, the transport, and the electrical stunning method have effects on the quality of the meat. Recommendations: I recommend the use of air conditioning or fans for handle temperature. Also, use high voltage or frequency but without causing damage to the animal. In addition, I recommend the electrical stunning method because although it may seem cruel, but it's a method that can be effective. Finally, do more research about the relationship that may exist between transport and the rest of the animal after being transported. This is my works cited page. If you have any question or suggestion, you can send me an email. Thank you. And that's all. Thank you for visit my channel.